Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the latest episode of GameSphere. So there's a lot to talk about this episode. I am actually joined by Matt DLN, who you may have heard of from the Destination Linux family, specifically from DLN Extend. Is it DLN Extend or DLN? Wow.
It is DLN Extend.
DLN Extend, right, cool. I'm going to keep that in, by the way.
Yeah,
okay, so before we crack on with the show, though, there is a pretty sizable update. Due to personal circumstances, I'm not really going to be able to continue doing the show, but worry not, good folks at home, because Matt is actually going to take over the mantle, pick up the mantle. I forgot that expression. He's going to carry on the show, and he's going to take it on, and he's going to do it in his own style. And I, look deeply forward to seeing how that pans out. And I'm incredibly grateful that that the GameSphere gets to live on in a new life, which is great. And I do want to sort of take this moment to thank the Destination Linux family, Michael, Ryan, particularly, who genuinely made me feel at home doing this podcast. They gave me so much guidance and support, and they were absolutely wonderful and very inspirational, actually. And I'm incredibly sorry that I couldn't carry on because they put a lot of work into getting this set up. But I am glad to see it going forward, and I'm incredibly looking forward to seeing what Matt does to that. So, Matt, say hello to the good people.
What is up, everybody? Glad to be here, Chris.
Thank you. Okay, so without further ado, let's get on to our the first thing that I have in my show notes here. So this is fascinating because last week I talked about Google Stadia closing their first party studios. Now, that has shattered a lot of people's, shattered a lot of people's confidence in the platform. I have not actually seen that much confidence in the platform anyway. This new sort of up-and-coming streaming service, which just allows you to go into stadia.com, in your usually Chromium-based browser, and to fire up a AAA game with minimal cost to your hardware, providing you've got a solid enough internet connection. Many people have not really been taking to it, really, and part of this might be because Google has a habit of killing projects quite early on. It might just be that people, by and large, don't trust Google when it comes to games. But there's yet another slice of bad news for Google. Terraria, which was due to come to Stadia, was cancelled because their developer was locked out of their account for reasons that still remain unknown. So this is a bit of bad news for Stadia in a week when Stadia really could have used a little bit of good news. Now, I do, on the surface of it, actually quite like Stadia, but the way that Google seemed to have been handling it over the past year or so has been pretty poor, to be honest. And I am interested to see sort of the longevity, like how long Steam how long Stadia might be with us. Do you have any thoughts on that, Matt?
So first off, I remember things like OnLive. So big things like streaming. I love the theory, low barrier to entry. Doesn't have the upfront hardware requirements of like a console or a PC or insert operating system here. I love that idea. The execution and the technical limitations are still a constant thing. And Google, I'll give Google credit when Cyberpunk 2077 first came out,
Hmm.
and they were saying, people were saying, if you want to play it on Stadia. That was
Yeah.
great marketing, the free marketing that they were
Yeah.
getting. Google literally blows everything up anytime they get good traction.
Yeah.
And I mean, because they just put Jade Raymond, who was one of the developers for Ubisoft for things like Assassin's Creed and a bunch of other games.
Mm.
They just put her out of a job.
Mm.
So to me, I trust Google when it comes to their consistency and their product line, that they'll consistently drop stuff.
Mm.
uh, which is unfortunate because I think Stadia does have a place. The
Mm.
concept's good. It had a lot of good positive stuff. As far as the Terraria dev
Mm.
canceling it, that from what I've read, and this is just his,
Mhm.
I believe his Twitter rant, if I remember, if I read correctly,
Mhm. Yeah.
it was basically he was locked out of everything on his Google account.
Everything.
It
Yeah.
wasn't just like a developer account.
Oh no, it's Gmail, Drive, the whole
Yeah,
shebang.
everything's 15 years gone.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know why. And he has basically said that your developer support, I believe, was trying. You might have to edit this. Is a burning dumpster fire,
Yeah.
and he's not wrong. So his take
Mm.
was, if you're going to treat your developers this way and not build your partnerships, then why am I going to port a game to your system? So he pulled support, and that's well within his right if he thinks it's a
Yeah.
bad system for him as a developer, which obviously in his case it very much is. So
Yeah.
I can totally agree with why he's frustrated.
Yeah.
And you know, Google has to understand how to better cultivate with the smaller third party developers. Their
Yeah.
problem that I've seen is they're chasing the EAs, they're chasing the Ubisofts,
Mhm.
they're chasing the AAA. You guys literally have Phil Harrison you're in charge of Stadia. This guy worked for
Mm.
PlayStation. You guys should know third party.
Yeah. 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 It's I mean, some people have said to me that they reckon that there's like an internal conflict in the, amongst the corporate suits at Google about between some that want to see Google go in the to see Google embrace gaming and those that don't, and maybe parts of the Stadia failings might be as a result of that. I don't know. That's literally gossip and hearsay. So um but yeah, like it's the thing is with Stadia is that they needed to cultivate confidence, because if people are going to invest money, this is not like a free platform that can sort of speak for itself. It's not like, for example, YouTube, where it's like, oh, just watch these videos. If it doesn't work, then well, no great loss. But with if you're asking people to put up, and we're talking AAA game prices, right? The gold edition of Hitman, including Hitman 3 AAA, well, close to a AAA game that just came out, 75 British quid. So that's like, what, 100 American dollars. That's a lot of money for people to put down on a platform that, I don't know, like, does it look like it's going to be here in a couple of years' time? There's a lot of people say, a lot of people seem to feel that it's not, or wouldn't be. And in a platform that sort of requires consumer confidence, if people aren't going to start putting money down, I don't know what, Google are going to have to do something. They're going to have to pull something completely out of the hat, from my point of view, to make it work. Whether or not it's letting people, putting up a few games for free, like a few really like noteworthy games that people can then start playing for free to actually, get their foot in the door. But I don't know, like it just seems like it's blow after blow for Stadia, and I like the platform. I've got games on Stadia. I'd be fascinated to see what happens to the money that I put down if Stadia were to disappear tomorrow. Would I get Steam keys? Would I just lose it all? I don't know. It'd be a PR disaster if they just decided to pull the plug a couple of years into it, and then anyone putting any money into Stadia's lost it.
Yeah. So people want to know, when it comes to like games that I highlight, I usually highlight games that are generically specifically on Steam because this problem has come up before. There are games that do get pulled off Steam
Yeah.
that are no longer sellable for whatever reason. There are games that I still have in my library that I can play. I can
Yeah.
still download them. I can still Transformers War for Cybertron is one of them. I can download that. I can play that. It's not on Steam for sale anymore, but I can. Google, on the other hand, specifically with Stadia, it literally is a rent service. Like, people talk about, this is pushing that licensing model as far as it can go because they kill the servers, but they kill your connection to everything.
Yeah, I mean, this is the ultimate. It seems to be the ultimate destination for software as a service, specifically games as a service. Yeah, it is rental. And I think if you were to in any way go into video game streaming of any stripe, there is a rental component here. I've got the GeForce Now subscription, and it's $5 a month, I think it is, or £5 a month. I can't remember which one now. It's a reasonably it's a reasonably modest fee considering that I can play and quite a number of AAA games at the highest graphical fidelity, and the games that I buy, I keep they're in my Steam library. If I choose to use the Epic Store, they'll be in the Epic Store, or I think even GOG have a couple of games on the GeForce Now platform now. It also, I've noticed with GeForce Now, is that it does actually work on slower connections. Now, you might get a little bit more artifacting as a result of that, I think it depends what kind of graphical fidelity you're expecting out of a game. If you're perhaps a little bit like me and are maybe a little bit less interested in it and are just happy to play a game, and I've got a solid enough internet connection, to me, this £5 a month that I put down for GeForce Now is just renting someone else's computer in the cloud. And if it were to go away tomorrow, there's a solid plan for keeping your games. So I think the way that GeForce Now have done it have definitely, I seems to have been the better way. I know that with Stadia, it's smoother. Like it just, you go into the Stadia website, it looks like the front end of a games console, and it's smooth and it's slick, and I do quite like it. And I performance has always been great for me as well. And it does seem that with Stadia, like, they had so much potential, and I think they just kept choking. They just kept all of these, like it seems the majority of these problems that Stadia come up against are completely of Google's own making. Really, it seems.
Honestly, I think Google, like when it comes to the studio closure specifically, I think Google didn't realize how expensive video games are.
Yes. But then again, I mean, I don't know how, the scale of economics to this is completely lost on me as well. But I mean, we are talking now. We are in an era where video games are up there with the movie industry, right? In fact, if I'm not mistaken, that video games have surpassed Hollywood movies now. So it does make sense that maybe hundreds of millions of dollars might be going into making a video game.
And some of those AAA games, very much hundreds of millions of dollars. So the last example I was shown, because for those that don't know, I was actually in the games press, quote unquote, media, whatever you want to call it, at one point. CD Projekt Red, who gets a lot of flack right now for justifiable reasons. I believe it was either The Witcher 2 or 3. They spent like $60 million on the budget for the game. They spent $60 million just in advertising. Yeah. That is an unsustainable business model when your advertising budget is as big as your developmental budget.
Yeah. That's
So that's 120 million from at the time, AA studio.
Yeah. That's but here's the thing, right? I mean, Google are one of the wealthiest companies in the world, really, it seems, or they're certainly like up there. There's a part of me that thinks, and to be honest, the chances are I've got the economics of this all wrong, but Google keeping the first-party studios going, as expensive as they are, might have been worth it just to foster the consumer confidence, though, because the PR hit they got from closing those might very well have cost them the platform. I don't know. It certainly is a blow that is not a good look for them.
No, definitely. I think my long short on Stadia is lots of potential, lots of mismanagement.
Yeah, I fully agree. This episode of GameSphere is brought to you by, of course, DigitalOcean. DigitalOcean recently announced their new app platform service, which is a solution to build modern cloud-native apps. With App Platform, you can build, deploy, and scale apps and static websites quickly and easily. Simply point to your GitHub repository and let the App Platform do all the heavy lifting. It has support for Node.js, Python, Go, PHP, Ruby, static sites, and Docker. DigitalOcean runs their app platform on their own infrastructure, so your costs are significantly lower than with other products. Plus, they built this new app platform on top of DigitalOcean Kubernetes, providing a smoother migration path so you can take more control over your infrastructure setup. As a listener of the GameSphere podcast and the Destination Linux network, you can get started for free. And in fact, better than free, because DigitalOcean is giving you $100 of credit when you sign up by going to do.co/DLN. That's do.co/DLN. We want to thank DigitalOcean for sponsoring this episode of the GameSphere and for generally being kind to the Destination Linux network. Thank you very much, DigitalOcean. That's wonderful. Okay, cool. All right. Well, speaking of streaming platforms, actually, I've been using GeForce Now to play World Rally Championship 7, which I was playing a little bit of that today, and I am actually quite thrilled because after several hours of playing through, I finally worked my way out of a very restrictive contract with Ford Focus and the Ford Focus racing team in the World Rally Championship. You know, when you just like sign it, you know, it's like I remember when when I sort of started the game and I was like a young budding rally driver, and I signed the first contract that came along, Ford Focus, and boy, I did not enjoy driving those cars. And now, after I've played through two seasons of Rally, and it's a great game, right? Very real, like it feels very realistic. Like the cars just feel great on the track. I finally managed to sign a deal with Peugeot. I'm thrilled. I've got a 206, I think it is, rather than the Ford Focus. Ford Focus, crikey! I did not realise what a terrible rally car that car would have made. Because just the steering is disastrous on it. And I learned to drive in a Ford Focus, and it's a bit of a family car, or certainly it's certainly a bit bigger than the kind of cars I drive, and it's certainly a bit more of a ship than it's that it just goes straight. You have to slow right down to turn around. I got that Peugeot 206, 208, I can't remember now. It's a little sensible hatchback Peugeot, and it just zips around, and I am absolutely loving that game now that I've actually worked my way out of that sort of restrictive, horrible Ford Focus contract. It's an absolutely beautiful game to play. The graphics are just superb, and I got to be honest, my sort of like I like to play racing games on the easier mode settings because I like a little bit of a challenge, but I really don't like pushing myself too much because I kind of like the idea of just going for a sort of a virtual drive in the countryside. That sounds kind of a bit weird, but like I kind of like enjoying the experience, enjoying the feeling of the car, and I always find that a bit kind of strange because I don't actually like driving that much in real life. I got a nice, small, sensible hatchback myself, and as far as cars go, it's one of the nicer cars I've driven. Because when you live out in a sort of semi-rural area, having a nice small car is kind of great because like it just going down country roads, if another car's coming up the other way, it's easy to squeeze by and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, rally games from time to time, every couple of years, I will just have this mad itch for racing games. And I've actually bought 3. Last week I talked about Grid on the Stadia, which I actually thought was quite nice, but it was it was a bit more on the arcadey side of things. And now I'm on to World Rally Championship 7. I think there's a World Rally Championship 9 now that's available in the Epic stores. So that's also I can play that on GeForce Now. So I don't know. Once I'm done with 7, I might jump over to 9. But the thing I love about it is that like it really nails the driving surface. Where you've got tarmac and you can zip about on tarmac, and then you've got the gravel and you just slide on it, and it's just like it just feels right. Like you drive on gravel, like your mindset just drops into this much more cautious, hesitant, slow down, take the corners easy kind of mindset, and the game does a really good job of just sort of like ushering you into that. So yeah, I also I think I was driving a VW Polo in that game as well. And I really actually quite enjoyed driving the VW Polo. But it's nice. Each of the different cars have like they feel like their characteristics that they're sold on, which is really quite nice. I really do quite like that game. But yeah, I will probably after a few more hours of this, move on to I think it's V Rally. I'm actually just gonna quickly check now. Yes, V Rally 4, which is also available on GeForce Now, and sort of weigh up that one to see how it goes. But yeah, no, I've absolutely been really having a good time with that, and yeah, I know that like racing games are not necessarily, they are certainly very much of a niche genre, but I don't know. Are you much of a racing game fan, Matt?
It depends on the racing game. I like the dirt rally and the dirt games, Dirt 3, Dirt 4. Grid, you're right, is kind of it reminds me of a slower version of like Asphalt 9. So for me, racing games are one of those that I have to be in the mood to play. But when I'm in the mood to play, I play them a lot. Like one of my favorite games for racing games on PS3 was actually Gran Turismo 5. So like I like my racing games, but it's very situational.
Yeah, absolutely. There's going to be like after I've gone through this sort of cycle of going through, I've almost completed the career mode of Grid, and I never thought like that takes some hours. But I quite enjoy putting a podcast on, and then playing through Grid is just like it gives me, it gives you something to sort of do with your hands that's not too distracting from listening to a podcast. I like, it's it scratches a nice itch, but yeah, had a great time, and I'm looking forward to it. I have amused myself much more than I should have. I've called my racing driver Adam Driver, of course named after Adam Driver, who plays Kylo Ren in the Star Wars films. But yeah, for some reason now that he's wrapped up with the Star Wars films, he's taken on a career as a rally driver. So, Matt, what have you been playing lately?
So, depends on the day. So earlier this year, I kind of made a challenge to myself. My backlog of games is terrible. my wall of shame, stack of shame, Steam collection of shame. Insert PC gaming place here. Shame. It's bad. So what I've been doing is I've just been trying to kind of play through some of my backlog. So right now I'm playing Vikings Wolves of Midgard, which is a isometric, an up-to-date, non-crappy Diablo 3 without the online requirement component, and it's native for Linux. So it's by the guys who did what's the other game they did? Shadows Awakening, I believe, is the other one that they've done. And For me, it's just I'm just trying to chip away at some of these games that I've had for way, way too long. Because
Yeah.
I know uh, my biggest thing is I actually started playing Vikings with Ryan mostly just because it was a land co-op game that you could do the
Mhm.
story through,
Yeah.
and that was amazing because you were like, "You mean the thing Blizzard took away that made Diablo 2 fun?" uh, um, so that's one of the games that I've been playing. The other games that I'm on and off with on PS4, kind of bouncing back into Spider-Man, um, bouncing back into that on Switch.
Mhm.
I have one of the Digimon games,
Oh, Digimon, crikey, that's a blast from the past. Wow.
Digimon Cyber Sleuth. So I'm a
Oh,
big story guy. So I like a lot of RPGs and stuff. So that's where I tend to focus a lot of my energy as far as games. But
wow, that's quite a cool. I was having a. I think it was literally yesterday. I was having a chat and someone brought up someone I know. Actually, it was Drew who was on the show a couple of episodes ago. He's talking about how that very same what's it called, the sleuth
Digimon
one,
Cyber. Well, okay,
cyber
so
sleuth. That's it.
the Switch version is what they call the complete version. If you get the
Hmm.
PS4 version or or same with the PC version, which by the way is platinum for those that want to know the Proton DB rating.
Ah, good.
Um, on the Switch,
Hmm.
it's actually two games in one. Same with the PC version. It's Digimon Cyber Sleuth. Then you get the side story, I guess, which is Digimon Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memories, which I love how they just tack more names onto stuff. But a fun game.
Is it a role playing game then?
Yes, it's a role playing game. Think in the vein of probably typical Pokemon, kind of like the newer Pokemons kind of stuff.
Hmm.
But there's a more mature storyline, more thorough storyline. Instead of just beat the gym leader, it's a little more involved than that. So that's what I've been liking about it. And obviously, you get to deal with like the evolutions and the all the other stuff of your characters that you can choose and do what you will with. So there's a lot to it, and I think, but the battle system is pretty straightforward. It's just that your typical like turn-based RPG that you've probably been playing since like Final Fantasy VI. But those are the games that I've been playing currently.
I got to get into Cyber Sleuth because the thing is, like, I thought that Digimon, like, to me Digimon went away. Like, I remember watching it when I was a kid, and I watched up until sort of like the very beginning of season 3, and season 3 sort of pushed me off because it was such a different change of pace to season 2. But I really love 1 and 2. Does Cyber Sleuth, like, what sort of, where in the Digimon sort of timeline does Cyber Sleuth come in?
That's going to be a hard one to actually determine, because it doesn't. There's more of an acceptance of what Digimon. Okay, so like in the original show,
Hmm.
the human world didn't know about the quote unquote Digi world.
Hmm.
Um, in the game series, specifically on this, humans, specifically hackers, do know about Digimon.
Hmm.
Um, there's I guess you could call it a VR, kind of like a Second Life, PlayStation, whatever their Miiverse kind of thing was.
Yeah.
It has that element to it, mixed in with like hacking, the more general acceptance of Digimon that are viable, specifically among hackers and stuff. But they have most of the hackers that, at least as far as I've played, have viewed Digimon as nothing more than tools, which is kind of something that's like a theme from the earlier episodes of the shows and stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of kind of cool like callbacks, but I'm not sure directly how far like into like the narrative structure that these games actually fit specifically.
Okay. So is it worth imagining it as just like an entirely different world that's just like Digimon-ish or Digimon-esque rather?
Yeah, it's weird because like you'll get like some of the kind of like neat. I don't want to call it neo noir. Like futuristic tech that the original show had, but then they like up it a level, so it's a little like with like the Second Life type of social site and stuff. So it's weird where it kind of fits in as far as how to view it. If you just view it as a Digimon game, you'll have your Palmons and all the other kind of stuff that you'll remember from the show.
Yeah.
And your Digi evolutions, your Digi de-evolutions, dear Lord, and that kind of stuff. But if you view it as just like it's a game that has Digimon, but don't try to tie it to the show, just view it as kind of its own thing, is probably the best way to not to be disappointed.
Okay, yeah. Okay, awesome. All right, I'm gonna have to give that one a go actually, especially if it works on platinum. Especially if it's platinum.
Yeah, you're welcome for the 40-hour drop that's gonna.
Oh well, that's yeah. I'll have to find that schedule that one in. All kinds of terrible things can happen when you don't take care of your digital security, and that of course includes your passwords. The password manager used and trusted by the Destination Linux network is Bitwarden. Bitwarden lets you set up things like a PIN to easily access your password manager, as well as additional authentications such as master passwords and adding phrases to fingerprint security, all the things to keep your passwords safe. Bitwarden is the easiest and safest way for individuals, teams, and businesses to store, share, and sync sensitive data. Go to bitwarden.com/DLN to get started for free. To make things even better, Bitwarden is 100% open source. You can self-host and their code is audited. Go to bitwarden.com/DLN to get started for free. The $10 a year premium account gets you 1 gigabyte of encrypted file storage, 2-step login with YubiKey, U2F, Duo, Vault Health Reports, time-based one-time password authenticator storage and generation, priority customer support. So, from the bottom of my heart, I would like to thank Bitwarden for sponsoring this episode of GameSphere and for all round being a good egg to the Destination Linux network. Thank you very much. Actually, I'll tell you what game I was playing again earlier today. Actually, I put out a first impressions video because it kind of grabbed me a little bit. Actually, I was playing it, started playing it yesterday. OpenSpades. You can pick it up in the FlatHub store. Never heard of it. Can't even remember how I came across it. Maybe someone posted something on Mastodon about it, or someone I don't know. Maybe I just came across it in the FlatHub store. I cannot remember now. This is Minecraft meets Battlefront, sort of, right? So you've got the voxel world, which looks quite nice, like is, decent enough lighting, good lighting, fully destructible terrains, everything is destructible. And then you've got your various usual game modes, capture the flag, free for all, and team deathmatch, all that kind of stuff. So, stuff that in the realms of what you'd expect. But also, because it's quite a community, because it's an open source game, it's very community driven, and there are game modes that the community have put together. And there are 2 game modes I was playing lately, Babel and Kraken. Kraken is mad, and it's interesting because basically you have a team of pirates. So it's first person, you go around, you shoot with your gun, you can choose a rifle, a submachine gun, or a shotgun, I believe. And you're a team of people, and you've got to kill the Kraken. The Kraken can come out of the ocean, it can use its tentacles to either kill you or capture you. If it kills you, you respawn, you go up at it again. However, if the Kraken captures you, you are locked, you are basically consumed, you're eaten by the Kraken for, I think it's 40 seconds. If the Kraken consumes the entire team within like of that 40-second window. So if the Kraken consumes the entire team all at once, the Kraken wins. And there's like a big health bar. I think you kill the Kraken, and then the team, so the team wins if it kills the Kraken wins if it captures everyone. And then the Babel mode is you have to build a tower. Like there are two teams, you got red team, you got blue team. You have to build a tower in order to get over to the other side to kill the other players, which is and every now and then there's like this massive lightning storm that comes down to destroy everything that everyone's built. So you've got these interesting game modes alongside the usual ones that have been great. But the thing that really captured me about it is the fully destructible terrain in a team deathmatch scenario, because it feels like a war zone in a way that multiplayer games have never felt to me before. The idea that like nothing is safe, like you could be running along going, trying to get behind enemy lines, and then a grenade comes out of nowhere and then you just like fall into a crater. Or like you can be like really strategic and you can like smash a hole in the wall and use that as like a vantage point to take out other people in, so you've got like, there's like sort of like kind of stealthy elements there. The guns fire at a really long range as well, which kind of make for, it kind of feels a little bit like PUBG as well. So that, like you have to sort of employ a degree of stealth, a degree of strategy, in order to move around a level, because, you have to hide, otherwise it becomes very easy for people, snipers effectively, to sort of pick you off from a distance. And because the terrain it's not only fully destructible, it's fully like voxel pixel Minecrafty. So you get given a shovel and you get given like the ability to build blocks. You get to put blocks down. So you can build walls, you can build cover, you can build bridges, you can build towers, and then you can take them all down with a shovel or a grenade. And this like adds just like, it doesn't overhaul the idea of a game, right? You go in with a team deathmatch, the rules remain the same, the idea of it sort of remains the same, but it changes the sort of the pace, the rhythm of it a little bit, so that like it's somewhat difficult to describe, but like the fully destructible terrains just make it so that it adds a layer of strategy and what you can do to get one over on the team that has just drawn me in. Because the thing is about it is like, it's not going to be my game of the year. Like, it's not a game that is going to like, like it's the shooting is like it. All of these components that it has, like the graphics aren't the best, the shooting aren't the best, like it doesn't have all these huge, various customizable stuff or anything like that. It is quite a straightforward, rather basic shooter, but because of the little changes that it's made, it keeps drawing me back in. And I think I'm going to be playing this one for a while, to be honest. So I recommend picking it up. It's completely free to play. It's open source. You can develop your own game modes for it. It's in the FlatHub store. So, yeah. It's not one you've come across, is it, Matt?
No, it is not. I'm going to sound bad as a Linux user here, but when it comes to games, I don't look at open source games.
Oh, there's some good ones out there.
I know there are some, like Warzone 2100 is probably one of my favorites. OpenRA, like I know there are games out there. It's just those games don't tick the boxes for the things that I'm into. I'm a story focused, heavy, like that's my cup of tea for gaming. Yeah. So give me a good story, and I'm more interested in that. And hate to break it, but a lot of the open source games are just you're Unvanquished and you're other they're very I'm trying to Quake 3 arena shooters, and it's just not my thing.
Yeah, but, no, I can't think of a single open source game where story like the sort of build around a story. I think Battle of Westnorth has some interesting lore bits here, but it still falls in the realm of generic fantasy.
Yeah. So that's not a knock on
mm.
open source games. I'm just saying that's not an area I fall into just because of what I have a preference for gaming wise.
Absolutely, and I think to be honest, with open source games, they fill a need, like they fill a niche that is a niche. Like they're definitely they're sort of for the people that make them, I guess it is. And I think by definition it's always going to have that sort of indie, sort of status. It's that, they're never going to have mass appeal, they're never going to draw huge numbers of people in. There may be some exceptions here or there, but yeah. And I think the thing is, because so many of these open source games are made by groups of people, by communities, it kind of makes having games focused around narratives a little bit impossible. Like when you're looking at works of fiction and things like that, you do need that sort of creative direction, and that sort of favors the more standard approach when it comes to games. So, speaking of narrative games, there is going to be a Mass Effect remaster coming to Steam, which is kind of interesting. I'm not the biggest of BioWare fans out there, but I really did enjoy the Mass Effect series when it's coming out. Specifically, Mass Effect 2. That was to me that was the sweet spot. I really did quite enjoy Mass Effect 2. Have you got through the Mass Effect games, Matt?
I have, and you know what? Mass Effect as a series ends with the Citadel DLC.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, I know exactly.
That's all I'm gonna say. I was one of those guys that sent Bioware cupcakes. So let's put it that way.
I know, me too. I was like,
no. I literally sent them cupcakes.
Yeah.
I was part of that whole retake thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, definitely. I don't know how I feel about this. But I've had plenty of experience with BioWare games.
I like it insofar that it means that Mass Effect 3 can come to Steam, right? But it does not include Andromeda because no one seems to like Andromeda. I've not played it, but that's because not one person has said that they liked Andromeda that I know. I remember playing through the last of Mass Effect 3, really enjoying the series, really enjoying watching a galaxy come together. Like, I found this really quite a fascinating story with really lovable characters, really well written characters, really interesting characters. Interesting ways how various worlds across the galaxy worked, and I was absolutely surprised that the last 20 minutes kind of undid so much of that for me.
The last 20 minutes does not exist. That's all I'm gonna say.
I was, and I remember. Okay, so I know this is an old game, so I'm going to go into a spoiler, but when Morden had his final moments in Mass Effect 3, like that moved me so much that that more than any video game has ever done, I think, because I love that character, and the way that he went out, and the way that his motivations changed, and the way that his thought processes had changed throughout throughout the events of the final two of the trilogy. I mean, at least Morden didn't get to see the final 20 minutes that didn't exist. That's all I'll say about it.
So what I want to say is, when it comes to BioWare, the one thing I've learned is this is going to sound, they can't stick a landing on a series, but they create memorable characters, like the personal dynamic, all that, like that pull, and like you mentioned with Morden, that kind of stuff. They're actually really, really good at. So like is it, I don't know. So like to me, peak BioWare was here's Dragon Age Origins, here's Mass Effect 2, and then it just kind of goes downhill after a certain company bought them. Just gonna
Mm. Yeah, I may be a glutton for punishment and and get on board with this. Like maybe I'll get this if it runs well enough on Proton, and then I'll just be upset all over again. It's I did play through Mass Effect 2 the other day, and I think it holds up quite well. I remember playing it for the first time, thinking the graphics were just mind blowing, and I think they hold up well enough. Like it's still immersive, it's still good. What I like about Mass Effect 2 in particular is the rhythm of the game. You've got a bit of narrative, a bit of gameplay, a bit of narrative, bit of gameplay, and it doesn't dwell too long on either. I think with Mass Effect 1, they stretched out the narrative bits, they stretched out the gameplay bits, and there were particularly the gameplay bits. I did feel like after a while they became a bit of a slog. Many people I know disagree with me on this one. They actually kind of liked the long missions. They actually felt like it added to the game. So it's just a subjective opinion on my part there. I love the elusive man, actually. That's like how wasn't he just a great character? And that was Martin Sheen, right?
Yep, it's Martin Sheen.
Yeah, I swore, or I could have sworn shortly after the series had ended, that like Shepard was going, he was being claimed by the Reapers. Like like when you notice, like at the beginning of Mass Effect 3, and he starts hallucinating a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was like he was going to be like the Reapers were sort of like getting him. They were sort of infiltrating his mind, and I thought there would be a really good twist there that never really happened.
Yeah, basically, what they were doing with like spoilers for those who haven't played a game in 15 years. What they did with like Saren in the first game.
Yes.
We need him to keep his free will of sorts.
Yeah. That would have, and I would have settled for a sad ending. Like a sad ending would have been better than. I mean, it kind of was. I don't know. Like it kind of.
Okay, so why did I get a computer case ending? It's literally an RGB ending.
Yeah, it
is literally red, blue, or green.
Apparently, I never got the green ending, which I don't know if I'd have taken anyway, because the green ending kind of feels like the Reapers win, and like kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, it's synthesis. You force evolution upon everybody, so you basically become bioorganic beings, which is kind of like counterproductive to the whole like point you've been fighting.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the red ending was the only one to me that sort of made sense. Like, what was the blue ending? I forget what the blue ending was now.
Control.
Oh right, yes.
So like you become the new like the Reaper god essentially.
And then so blue or green just sort of are just various levels of letting the Reapers win, right? Yeah. And then you sacrifice yourself, which, to be fair, I was well at ease of Shepard dying in that sort of martyrdom finale, which kind of would have made a lot of sense. I really liked I like the voice actor for the woman. Was it Jennifer Hale? Is that her name?
Yeah, it's Jennifer Hale.
Jennifer,
for FemShep, as the community affectionately calls her.
Yeah, I picked her every time because I think the voice acting for FemShep was a lot better than what's his name?
Mark Mayer.
Mark, that's the one. And it wasn't like he had a bad voice, but like I felt that it was a bit more. He was a very sort of generic action hero.
Yeah, but I think for the male character, I think that's almost intentionally done, probably.
Yeah.
That way you as the player can project onto the said blank canvas of a person.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any favorite characters from the Mass Effect franchise?
There's honestly there's so many.
Mm.
Most of the characters that I liked are probably from two. Um,
Yeah.
Personally, for me, I found Samara probably the most interesting character.
Yeah.
The adjudicator, just a
Just a car.
justificator. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Um,
Mm.
the whole, what do you do? What does the species do that lives, 1,000, 1,500 years when they decide
Mm.
to devote their life to something? And
Yeah.
that's an interesting mentality. And like her story arc is depressing as all heck.
Yeah. Yeah, because she has to hunt her own sister because her own sister is
No, it's her own
rogue.
kids. It's her
Kids,
own
that's sorry, that's it.
kids.
Yeah, kid.
The mom has to kill her kids.
Oh dear. Yeah.
Which to me is that's one of those story arcs that I actually really like in that
Mm.
series. So um
Yeah.
but that's probably the most memorable character. Obviously you have like
Mm.
the certain jokes with like Miranda and a few other ones, but
Mm.
um I think probably it would probably be Samara. The character growth for uh, Jack as a character from like 2
Mm.
to 3 and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, because she gets. Yeah, I really like Jack in 3 because she became like the teacher that she always like kind of felt she needed. You know.
Yeah, she was the teacher that she was the cool the cool kid.
Yeah, the cool teacher.
Yeah, the cool bad man pajama teacher there
Oh
that
yeah.
people like. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of small character stuff that I like. But
Mm.
probably Jack and Samara are probably my favorite characters.
Mm.
Like,
Mm.
I mean, obviously, that you have like Garrus and stuff, but Garrus is cool if you play like male shep because that's more of like a bromance, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, I always felt there was like sexual tension between FemShep and Garrus.
Uh, play the Citadel DLC and you can romance said
Oh yeah, you can. Yeah.
said Garrus. So like there's some cool
Mm.
stuff that I did like in the games, especially when it came to the character interactions. Like again, because I
Mm.
think that's BioWare's strength is their character development and the character interactions. And
Mm.
so
I think mine were. See, mine are all the fan favorites anyway. Morden, Legion, Tally. They're great. I really did like Jack as well. Because I think at least with like because the thing is with characters like Jack, you almost expect there to be like a degree of tragedy to them because like Jack of course was subject zero for like the biotic experiments and stuff. But like she actually had like a really positive character arc, which was kind of nice. And also one of the things, of course, that is goes down in BioWare history is that Tally could bring. You could set it up so that when Tally was going to trial for, was it her father bringing Geth parts along to the Quarian fleet?
yeah.
Or live Geth parts to the Quarian fleet. You could actually just bring Legion along with you. Like you just,
They give you the look essentially. That is not coming. Then Tally's like, I'm just gonna speak for him. Oh,
yeah,
what?
yeah. It's
So like that particular storyline is cool because you get to see especially on if you play 2 and 3, you get to see where that potentially can go.
Yeah. I really like that that mission. I don't know how much I should be ashamed of this, but I've actually got all 4 of the Mass Effect books.
Oh, the books are great. Like because like the first one talks about like the admiral in the first
Yeah.
game.
Oh,
Like,
Anderson.
yeah, like it talks about how he failed to become a Spectre because of what Saren did.
Yeah.
And the only one
Mm.
I didn't like was like God, it's been so long since I played the
It's
Mass
the
Effect
fourth
game.
one, isn't it? The fourth book.
The one about the ninja.
Yeah.
Not a fan. Not really a fan.
No.
I can't even remember the guy's name. He's one of the main enemies in 2.
One of the main enemies in 2. Don't you mean 3? I know the guy.
Whatever. The cyborg-ish ninja dude.
Yeah.
Like not a fan. Not a
No.
fan of the book.
I think he does make his appearance. Yeah, he's in the fourth book, I think, and that's the book that's written by William Dietz, whereas all the others are written by. Let me just check. Oh yeah, Drew Kardashian, who I think has something to. Who is. Yeah, no, he's the lead writer of the game. And then for the fourth book, they brought in William Dietz, who is for people who don't know, he's like this author who just does generic books for all kinds of video game properties. I think he did the. I'm looking over here now. He did the Hitman book. That's pretty terrible. He's done Star Wars books. I think he did Halo books as well. And they're pretty not good, unfortunately. They're just like, here's just a story about an action hero, and then they just sort of imprint, any kind of intellectual property on it, like a cash grab, basically. So that's the fourth book, and the fourth book in the Mass Effect books was always considered, the weak link.
Yeah, definitely.
But the 3 before it were great, and also the graphic novels, definitely worth a gander. They're Dark Horse comics, which I really like them.
And for those that want something else, if you're a Star Wars fan specifically, if you're a fan of Drew Kardashian, the Revan series.
Oh, hang on, is that Revan series as in like
Star
the
Wars, like Old Republic?
Old Republic, that's it. So like Exar Kun type stuff.
I'm talking like the original KOTOR games.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And Drew Kardashian wrote the Revan books.
Oh.
So, and there's a lot of, or was it the Revan books? And I think it was Darth Bane. He had like a long trilogy of books that he did for Star Wars specifically.
Cool. Now that's interesting. Actually, now that you've mentioned it, I kind of want to play KOTOR.
Yeah, because he did the Darth Bane series. He did the Revan book. He also wrote Annihilation. Yeah, he's done a lot for Star Wars stuff.
Nice.
So,
excellent.
And he does have his own series. Children of Fire, I think is the name. Yeah, because he wrote the Star Wars Darth Bane Rule of Two book.
Oh, okay, cool.
So,
awesome. Cool.
Yeah. Now I'm being an enabler of books and geek culture. Not just game.
Right. Well, as we're approaching the hour, now's probably a good time to look at wrapping up. But so Matt is going to be taking the baton with the show and to take it to its new strength. So there will be some format. Matt's going to sort of take it, make it his own, and it's going to be quite interesting actually. So Matt, what's just sort of in closing the show here, what can people sort of hope to see in going forward?
So the short version is, if any gamer is a fan of essentially Total Biscuits content, try to think of the way to word that. They will remember a series that he did where he basically gave kind of like a 25, 30, 40, 45 minute kind of first impressions of a game. I'm going to be looking to replicate that in a way where we have kind of a revolving front door when it comes to getting me being the gamer, getting people who are non-gamers or one game specific, and people like Michael's case, who are Rocket League fans.
Yeah, I think, is he playing Rocket League now? I think I've got him on Steam.
When isn't he playing Rocket League is more the question. Probably whenever he's doing all the stuff for Neil that he does, in fairness. So we're gonna be live streaming those kind of like first impressions, and we'll take something that maybe the other co-host is not a big gamer generically. I mean, my tastes are all over the place, so I think it'll be an interesting take, seeing what not typical gamers will think of, say, like a game like Darksiders 3 or something like that, and either have them play it, we'll play it together, take your pick. Some of the stuff's still up in the air, but there's going to be a live streaming component to it as well. We will be keeping the audio component also. So
awesome. Great. I absolutely look forward to that, and thank you so much for keeping GameSphere going. It genuinely means a lot. So thank you everyone at home for joining us. It's been a pleasure as always, and I've been Chris Ware. This has been Matt, and you've been listening to the GameSphere. Toodaloo.